Welcome back, all 17 subscribers. Unfortunately, One More Summer Garage doesn't have one more summer left in it. It is the official end of One More Summer Garage, but I am going to try to speed run through this project and get it completed and just kind of post these semi-vlog style updates as I go, just to kind of keep anybody who's interested updated in the progress. And just wanted to talk about a few things I've ran into since the last video that either I've addressed or haven't addressed yet. So, currently, as you can see, the axle is nearing the completion. Kind of stuck right now trying to figure out this pinion nut situation. It's kind of a pain in the ass how Dana set these axles up. There's a lot of weird procedures, tools, and just sort of like voodoo that goes into making these axles run right. And to make things more complicated, I went with an ARB air locker, which throws a whole nother series of I don't know what the fuck I'm doing into this project. But I should, by the end of the week, have this all completed, reassembled. I've already pressed in the bushings, which was an absolute nightmare. I did the track bar ball joint, which was easier. I drilled and tapped the two spots right here. One is for the ARB airline, the other one is a breather tube, but I just went ahead and drilled and tapped them both for the same thread. That way I can just easily, if I want to switch these two around or whatever, it's just way easier. I have the fittings. It's all 1/4 inch MPT threads. And because it's a cast, I think it's cast iron or cast steel, whatever. It's cast something metal. It's really soft. You can tap it really easy. You don't need any special tools. It's not like stainless steel where you run the risk of breaking the tap off when you're doing it. It's very simple. So really, the things left on this axle project is to get the yoke tightened down, get the differential shimmed properly, and then just do a reassembly. I've already done the knuckles and pushed the ball joints in. And these are also powder coated. I have the studs, and these are the calipers that I'm going to be running on the setup. It is a set of SSBC stainless steel brake company. I think they're 8 pistons. I actually grew up in the hometown where these are manufactured. I lived right down the street from their facility when I was a teenager. I thought that was kind of cool, but they are pretty quality units. And the thing is I didn't have calipers that fit this axle, so it wasn't like I decided that I wanted to upgrade. I just didn't have them, and those were a really, really cool option, I thought. And so I figured I'd give them a shot at the project, so I will keep you updated how that works. The axles are kind of neat. Or, what do you call it, axles? Drive shafts, whatever you want to call them. They are the 1550 style, so normally like at the 1440 joint, and I guess Ford or Dana or whoever calls them a 1550, which the actual joint itself is physically a lot larger, but it still fits in the same housing, the same knuckle. It's just a larger universal joint inside of there. I wish I could tell you why I went that route, but I just decided that because I needed it, why not? Other things to note, I got the redhead steering box with the drop pinion. The BDS kit came with the drop pinion already with it. The bolts. Okay, so this is an important topic. The bolts that I ordered, I had to go to like a third-party website, and I had to track down these bolts. They are grade 10.9. They're zinc coated. They're heavy duty as hell. Unfortunately, the ones that you pay $30 from Ford, these bad boys right here, are just physically too short. Even though I've seen people on the internet saying they used them, I think they bought them and didn't realize that they were too short and never updated the post and confused a lot of people. I went back and updated the post for them, gave people the part number to look for, the length, the course, or the thread type, and all that stuff. So if you see the Power Stroke Nation, I think it is, that group, you'll see me kind of talk about it in there a little bit and give like a link to where you can buy them. But you are going to have to source those bolts out. You need 3 of them. That's the only way to bolt the 6.7 power steering box to the 6.0 frame. What else? I guess let's walk over to the truck. We can talk about that over there. So nothing too crazy on the truck side of the project. A couple things that I wish I would have done differently, but due to time constraints, I'm just having this to kind of make everything work. Not the way I wanted to do it, but just the way it happens, right? So one thing I wanted to point out was that I went with a BDS 4-link coilover setup for the front end. So it's going to have 2 control arms per side, not the radius arm. And these brackets all pretty much come with BDS's kit. It's very expensive, but it looked like it was pretty much a complete kit. So it comes with these side brackets and all the hardware and whatnot. Now, on the passenger side of things, I did have to trim the bracket a small bit. It's kind of sloppy. I was upset with myself last night, but unfortunately, the way these bolts and nuts are set up, they're kind of like the nut itself is not a nylock washer type. It's like it's kind of like the nut bites into the bolt so it can't back out. And I really didn't feel like messing with it too much. And once I got it on there, I just decided to make it work, and I trimmed it with my air angle grinder. And you're going to have to trim possibly just a little bit. If you can see, it just started to hit that cab mount, and no, you cannot slide the bracket back any. The other side touched a little bit, but it didn't interfere as bad as this side. So that little bit of a 1/16 of a difference was all that was needed to keep this bracket from bolting in properly. And I just trimmed it. Again, not proud of my trim job, but it's just what it is. It'll never be seen. Moving over here to the coil spring buckets. Now, these were original Ford coil spring buckets that I had modified. Typically, they have this like cone thing that centers the actual spring in the bucket. But because I'm doing coil springs, you just don't even need it. Or I'm sorry, coil overs, not coil springs. You don't need them. The instructions just tell you to take a Sawzall and just trim the bottom of it off. But realistically, I have the tools. I can do everything in-house. So I trimmed everything off carefully, and then I aligned the actual coil spring mounting bracket to the bucket, and then I welded it all together and had that powder coated in the same textured black as the axle itself. Nothing really too crazy on that front. It just kind of went right in. You got to drill a few holes, but it's not like you have to guess. You line up the holes that fit, and then it's just a matter of scribing in the new holes and then just drilling them in. Lucky for me, the hardware that I was going to use for bolting this bit to the top of the bucket got reused, and it went into bolting it to the frame. I will actually walk over real quick and tell you which bolt I use, because BDS did a pretty decent job at labeling all of the bags that they give you. And so it tells you which bolts come inside of it. So for conversation, it was going to probably be the half-inch. Yeah. It's going to be a 1/2 inch, 1.5. So 1/2 inch by 13 by 1.5 inches long bolt, grade 8 yellow zinc. And then if you look, the prevailing torque nut is those special nuts that they're using to keep it from backing out. So you probably can get away without using Loctite or any of that kind of stuff, because the way the nut is formed, it'll bite into the actual bolt itself. But you do whatever you want. I use a little bit of orange Loctite. I torqued the shit out of those bolts, made sure they're nice and tight. Everything went together pretty smoothly, as you can see on this side. Didn't require much of anything. I got away with it. It's tight. It's real tight against that frame, but it didn't collide with the bracket. So that was kind of nice. So there's 2 things that I